Hey guys, if you're watching this video, that means you've probably already gotten an email from me saying that the next round of materials are available. And so if you're coming to get them, or I'm bringing them to you, or shipping them to you, they're on their way. You may want to wait until you have your box in front of you so that we can go through the materials that are in there together. Or you may want to bookmark this to be sort of a reference video, and you can skip to the parts that you need as you get things there. That's going to be in your packet of materials will be a green bag of files. Just like last time, I've given you another 10 weeks of materials. So just as at the workshop back in August, you picked up 10 weeks of material. This is the next 10 weeks. It's going to take you all the way through the first week of February. And so 10 weeks of material. You are going to notice that this bag is a little bit heavier than the last one, and the folders inside are a little bit thicker. And so I'm going to walk you through a little bit of what's in these folders and how that matches with the other stuff that you have so that you can kind of see how those match up. The other things that you're going to have in there is you'll have a shoebox, and your shoebox will be full of other physical pieces that you're going to need that go with the different memory verse games or sword drill games or lessons as you give them. I've also included the egg cartons with the marbles inside, and so you'll have those. And then also included in there is the big remote control. And so let's walk through, and probably the easiest way is just go lesson by lesson and kind of show you the pieces that go with each one. And so the first one then we'd be starting with would be the Thanksgiving lesson. If your club is meeting on Thanksgiving, or if you're not meeting but you still want to do the Thanksgiving lesson sometime, you're welcome to do it. There's a blue sheet in there. Like always, these are set up the same way they have been, so I won't bore you with all of those details. For the memory verse, there's no green card because we're not teaching a new verse, but there is a review game and there's a dancing turkey in there with instructions for how to use those in there. And then when you do the sword drills, you're going to find for the sword drill game, clipped right in there are some giant turkeys. For the younger kids, for the K through 2 sword drill activity, it's going to ask you, as you get a sword drill, you'll get to color in the turkey. And so you're going to find that there's a bag of crayons, a bunch of different colors, so that they can color in the turkey as they do it. And if you want to give away the turkey at the end, do it. And then for the older kids, there's a marker. Some of them I put 2 markers in there. If you've got a big group and you have multiple groups, I've got multiple markers for you. But those are in there because for the older kids, rather than coloring in the turkey, we're asking them to write down something that they're thankful for on the turkey. And again, if you wanted to award that turkey to someone at the end, you could do that. The Thanksgiving lesson is kind of a fun one. It sort of tells the story of William Bradford and a little bit of his faith background as the pilgrims come to the New World. And so that's the Thanksgiving lesson for this year. After that, we get November 28th, and this is going to be New Testament 4:4, and that's going to be the memory verses, the Ephesians 6 passage, and all of the materials you'll need are in your folder there with the red sheet and the green sheet. There is no special memory verse materials needed in this one. And the sword drill is just, the winner gets to lead the next sword drill, and so no special materials needed for that one. Then we move on to December 5th, the week of December 5th. And so for the week of December 5th, there's a green sheet, but there's no special supplies needed. The memory verse review game is explained right in there. Now, for the sword drill games, it says you're going to need the mystery colored pieces, and those are in your shoebox. In your shoebox, you're going to find a couple of baggies that say mystery color on them. And all of the supplies you need will be in those little plastic bags for the mystery color game. Now, one of the things you'll want to take a close note of is that here we are December 5th. We're going to do this same game again on January 2nd. And so you'll reuse these same pieces. And so you'll want to hang on to these. When you're done with them, make sure they go back in your box. because you'll need them again in January. So the mystery color game, the pieces are in your shoebox, and you'll need them again in January. So you'll want to hang on to those. Now, in general, supplies like this that are sort of flat in nature will actually just be in the folders themselves. That's why some of these folders are a little bit thicker, because any kind of supply that was flat, I tried to put in the folder itself. These I didn't, only because you're going to need them more than once. And so rather than confuse you by having them in the December one but not in the January one, I put them in your shoebox because you'll need them multiple times. Did I emphasize that enough? You're going to need these again in January, so don't lose them. The next folder in there is probably the thickest, heaviest one that you have, and that'll be the December 12th, and that's the Christmas lesson. And so if you're doing the Christmas lesson on the 12th, now, if you're behind, if you're doing catch up and you're saying, you know what, we need to skip somewhere, or if you're not meeting that day for whatever reason, that's fine. This is an easy one to sort of skip over. The memory verse game, again, there's no green sheet, but there is a game called 3-on-3. The 3-on-3 boards are right there in your folder, right with the material. The instructions are in the folder with them. You will need some red and green crayons, and you'll find that I put in there, along with the baggie of crayons from Thanksgiving, there's some red and green crayons, some big red and green crayons that are in there, and those are there for the Christmas memory verse review game. And then for the sword drills, you're going to find that I put the pieces in there. It's tic-tac-toe, and so there's bells and trees, and you can play tic-tac-toe with that. Now, I put in there, in with the sword drill sheets, there is some tic-tac-toe boards. And so you can just lay that out on the table, and you can use the pieces to play tic-tac-toe. Now, the pieces do have the flannel backing on them. And so if you wanted a flannel tic-tac-toe board, if you still are using flannels or you have a flannel graph up and you'd rather use that, let me know. If you don't have a tic-tac-toe background, I think we have a bunch of those around. I can get you one of those if you'd rather do the tic-tac-toe on the flannel. But otherwise, you can just put the board out on the table and play it that way too. One note on those, if you need extras, if you wanted to break into smaller groups, especially if you're a bigger club, I tried to give you one for every normal sword drill group you would have, but if you wanted even more boards, I mean, you can make copies of this, or if you wanted me to print some extra ones so that they all look the same, I can do that. Or if you wanted to borrow, there's also tic-tac-toe boards in the February 6th folder. And so you could borrow from there. Just make sure you bring them back so that you'll have them in February. Now, after December 12th, there won't be another club until January 2nd. Now, if in that time frame you want to gather your group, if you want to do a catch-up week to try to make up for something you missed, or if you just wanted to get together and have a gathering of your kids while they're on Christmas break, hey, go for it. There's nothing saying you can't. But there is no material for those. The next group of material, the next folder that you have, will be dated January 2nd, and that'll be the New Testament 4-6 lesson that'll be in there. And so this is the week where, for the memory verse game, it's the canisters, and so they're the old film canisters, and it's kind of sort of the shell game where you hide candy under them. And so the candy is in there. The candy is fresh. It's not from 7 years ago. We didn't recycle that from somewhere in the files. So the candy is new. The canisters are not new. I don't know that you can get new film canisters anywhere, but those are there for those. And then the sword drill activity on the first week of January, again, is the mystery color game that you've used before. And so that's where you're going to need those the second time. On January 9th, the memory verse game is in there. There's no special supplies needed for that. January 9th, the thing you'll need is the egg cartons, and the instructions are in there. There's a couple of marbles in there. If I ship this to you, hopefully your marbles didn't come out. I did try to rubber band them all closed and things like that. And so you should have 2 marbles in there. If you get one that's missing marbles, let me know and I'll get you marbles. But they all had marbles when they left here. And so hopefully they will get to you that way. Also, on January 9th, when you do the lesson, you'll notice the verse is the Galatians 6:7. And the lesson starts off, it's the whatever someone sows, that will he also reap. And you'll notice if you're doing the PowerPoint, but it's in the book too. And so if you're not using the PowerPoint and you wanted to use even a packet of seeds to kind of explain how that works, that, you know, if you plant a cabbage, you get a cabbage, you know, that kind of concept, that what you sow, you will also reap. And that comes out real clearly in the digital version as well. And so I put a bunch of these seed packets in everybody's thing. And so if you wanted to give away seed packets at the end of your club or whatever, so that everybody can take one home with them as a reminder of this concept of what someone sows, that they will also reap, you have these to give away. I tried to kind of guesstimate to where everybody will have enough so that every student will get one. If you look at them and you say, man, Andy, there's just not enough here for all of our kids, let me know. I'll be happy to get you some more seed packets so that you can give those out to your students. And okay, now we're ready to move on to January 16th. January 16th, that's going to be the NT48. And so on this one, we have the memory verse game. There's no special supplies needed. The instructions are in there as always. But for the sword drill, and these are in there for both the K2 and the 3-up. This is just the 3-up in my hand. But you're going to find in there it's a fishing game. So there's the paper bag that you'll need and the little fish to go in there and the score sheet. And so all of the supplies you need for the sword drill game are right there, paper clipped to the instructions in the packet. And you'll have one of these for every sword drill group. And so that should be pretty simple and straightforward. So for January 23rd, similar setup to all the others. There's a blue sheet, there's a green sheet. The memory verse game requires no special materials. And then for the sword drill game, in your pouch, you'll find a couple of these, one for every sword drill group, of which door. And the whole idea is you just sort of, the kids get to pick a door and they get the number of points that are behind that door. And then you can change out the sheets in there. And so, but these packets are in your folder right at the back with the sword drills that are there. So that should be easy for you to find and understand. And then we have January 30th. Again, no special instructions or no special materials needed on the memory verse. And for the sword drills, you're going to need these. We've got these little sailboats, and they're attached to clothespins with string. And the idea is that you take the clothespins and you hang the string across, and the sailboat will hang on there. And then as they get it right, they get to move forward, and they're sort of in a boat race to see who can move their boat across the string the fastest. Now, you might want to take a look at these a little bit ahead of time. I did not have a chance to go through all of them. If you get one with a broken string, or the boat is broken, or it doesn't hang right, or whatever it is, let me know. I can get you another one. But these are in there, and that's sort of, these will be in your shoebox. So as you go through, the instructions are in your folder, but the supplies are in the shoebox. And so that's where those will be for that. And then finally, last but not least, we get to February 6th. And so February 6th, this is the one where for the memory verse game, this is where you're going to need your big remote control. And I know I've had some groups tell me that this is one of their favorite things. When we get to the walkthrough video, I might give you some pointers of things that I've seen that work well using the remote, and some things that I've seen that don't work well using the remote. And so I'll kind of give you some things for whatever that's worth. But there's the remote, and that'll be in there. If you're getting these in the mail, like if you're one of the distant clubs and I'm shipping stuff to you, the remotes will actually ship separately from the rest of the materials, because the box that I sent things in was not big enough for the remote. And then the sword drill game is another tic-tac-toe. And so the tic-tac-toe boards are there. And then it's kites, and the kite pieces are actually in your folder right there with the sword drill sheets. The other thing for February 6th, when you do the lesson, we're talking about at the beginning of the lesson, it talks about using a compass to get direction. And I put one of these compasses in your shoebox. For bigger groups, you might have gotten two of these. But the whole idea is that if you wanted to, at the beginning, even some kids may have never even seen one of these or used one of these or understand how they work. And these are small, and so they are kind of hard to see, and they're cheap. And so sometimes you have to kind of tap the bottom and make sure the thing is floating right. But they do work. And so if you wanted to give some kids some simple instructions, okay, take 2 steps north and 3 steps east or something, or let them try to use the compass and figure out how that works. You could do that. You could use that as part of your illustration during the lesson. And in the end, if you wanted to give these to somebody, if you wanted to award them somehow or have a drawing and give away the compass, that's fine too. And so there's at least one of these. If you're a bigger group, you might have gotten 2 of these. If for some reason you get one and you're like, man, all the water drained out, it doesn't work, I do have a few more of these, and so I can get you a replacement for it if need be. And so that should cover everything that's in your box. And so if you have questions about any of the materials, feel free, give me a call. Let me know if there's something there that you're still confused about and you're like, I don't get why I have this. I don't get what I'm supposed to do with it. Let me know. Or if there's something that you say, boy, I thought I would have this in the box and it's not there, give me a call and let me know. Or if something that I've showed you in this video and you say, I don't see that in my box, let me know that. And if you let me know that before we get to the week when you need it, that would be great too, because then I can probably work on getting that replaced for you. So hopefully all of this kind of makes sense. If not, just sort of as you go through, let me know what I can do to make things better for you.